ever planted trees? That's question one. Hold on. I hope you have, we have pens and papers. I hope you're taking them down. Number two, how many? All right? It's okay. Even if it's one, it's fine. It's fine. There is no penalty today. You're just getting to know. All right? Please find out. Have you found out? The only person I want you to lift up your hand if your neighbors say they have never. That's the only hand I want to allow. Is there a never? Okay. I know people are avoiding embarrassing moments, but it's okay. So what about this, by the way? And this is now where the catch will be. Do they go above your age? If, for example, you're 40, have you planted above 40 trees? If you're 20, have you planted above 20? That's where the catch will be. Anybody who has something like that? All right, let me just give you some interesting facts. And this is just to preempt you or to really alert you that it is important for us to take care of our environment. Number one, according to the Economic Survey of Kenya Bureau of Statistics, guess what? 2016, we were at 7.21. We're still hoping by 2030 to hit the 10%. 2020, we've not done so well. We're still at 7.29. So we're still stagnating. The population is increasing, but the forest is not increasing. So I think there will be a lot of conversations today about what needs to be done. Of course, we need trees. I mean, what I'm holding right now, the podium is made from trees itself. We need them, but we also as well need to be sustainable and ensure that we are growing. It's not my opportunity to really speak much about the details today, but I want to really alert a few of our online participants that we have a hashtag going on, and the hashtag is sustaining our forests. Very important hashtag there. Now, anytime we have a hashtag, the participants, especially the live participants here, and even you at Zoom and for the people on Facebook and YouTube, we have to let the people know that we are talking about forests and the sustainability of this particular sector. So this is sometimes an awkward one, but I want you to kindly do it as well. So if you're online, please, I want you to follow the instructions as well as we do them here. So please take out your phone. Thank you. The chairman is already alert. Wow. Just take out your phone. I need you to take a selfie. Please take a selfie. Please take a selfie. And don't be selfish. You can include one member or two in that particular table. So if you can, just zoom out, be a selfie stick. There's something, a hand, just throw it up, take a very nice selfie. Oh, thank you. Phyllis knows this very well. Yeah, do that. And if you're not on Twitter, you can download it on Google app. But for now, go on Twitter, put the hashtag there, sustaining our forests. You can add a sentence, for example, and say that, you know what, I love forests, something like that. Or we have to sustain ourselves through planting of trees and the likes. Do something nice, put something nice, or you can also put the title of the day that we are talking about, Sustainability Forest Sector Action Plan. Make sure you tweet something like that. We have somebody monitoring. I might end up giving somebody a tree to go and plant today, if you do it well. All right, there you have it. Remember the hashtag, sustaining our forests. Yeah, you can take your time. The chairman is taking a good angle. Make sure the members behind you smile so that at least it looks like you together in the mask, right? The eyes can smile nowadays. Anyway, yeah, to also our online viewers, I am waiting to see who is going to go with that tree that I promised. You never know. All right. And we're really hoping that the percentages that we're talking about by 2030 can be achieved, and it's because of you and I and all stakeholders coming together. So thank you so much for that and taking time to as well sensitize people, even through online, that we need to have these conversations going on. To start us off, I want to request the Chief Executive Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Phyllis Wakiaga, to come and give the welcome remarks and introductions for the day. Karibu sana. And please, members in the House, a clap please for our CEO.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. I hope everyone is fine. It's raining today, which I think is a good thing. There's been concern about why there is no rain. So I'm happy that it's raining today. So allow me to welcome all of you to this event, for those who've joined us physically and for the number who've also joined us through our many online platforms. It's a pleasure to have all of you. I'll start by recognizing the presence of some of our key guests. We have with us the chairman of Kenya Forest Service, Mr. Peter Kenywa. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have Mr. Walid Badawi, the United Nations Development Program Resident Representative in Kenya. He's joining us virtually. Thank you, Walid, for joining us. We also have Jane Njuguna, Dr. Jane Njuguna, who is representing the Kenya Forest Research Institute. Thank you very much. She's a tree doctor. I'm sitting next to her. She'll tell us more about what that means, but yes, she's a tree doctor. We also have the CEC Water, Nyandarua, who has joined us also today, Milka Njuguna, representing His Excellency Francis Kimemia, who's the chairperson of Water, Forestry and Natural Resources Management. We appreciate you. We also have the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, PS representative, Alfred Gichu, who's joining the event today. And then from the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, my chairman, Mr. Mushai Kunyiha, thank you for joining us. The representative of the Kenya Timber Manufacturers Association, Mr. Kaberia Kamenchu also, we appreciate you. Everyone else who has joined us online and participating in this very important conversation, we welcome you this morning. So I'll start with a quote by Wangari Maathai, who is known to all of us, the first woman to win a Nobel Peace Prize, first African woman. She said that those of us who witness the degraded state of the environment and the suffering that comes with it cannot afford to be complacent. We continue to be restless. If we really carry the burden, we are driven to action. We cannot tire or give up. We owe it to the present and the future generations of all species to rise up and walk. So that's a call to action. And we are here today as the Kenya Association of Manufacturers to start and continue the journey towards sustainably managing our forests in the country as we launch the Kenya Forest Business Sustainability Action Plan. This launch is part of our Ukamilifu initiative under the Green World pillar that strives for an industry that seeks to restore and replenish the environment in its approach. Ukamilifu is our environmental, social, and governance arm that houses our social impact efforts and initiatives at the association. So a little bit of a background. The research on the Forest Business Sustainability Action Plan for Kenya was commissioned by CAM as part of our inquiry into seeking ways to enhance the sustainability of the Kenya forestry sector through a multi-stakeholder approach. It mirrors the global and regional best practice, and the main intention for us having this sustainability action plan is really to guide the sector's interlinking businesses to help them develop sustainable, tailored solutions and actions that support the forestry sector in Kenya. And this action plan comes, I think, at a very important time at the wake of realization that forests should be managed sustainably to yield social, economic, and ecological goods and services for the current generation without compromising similar rights for the future generation. So a lot of work has gone into the development of this action plan, and I'm sure that all of us are keen to listen to more about it. The research towards the development of the Forestry Business Sustainability Action Plan focused on the adequacy of Kenya's policy and also looked at our legislative framework guiding the forestry sector value chain in the country. And I know that we engaged a number of stakeholders in order to develop this action plan. We'll receive a presentation that is more detailed on what is contained within the action plan, and we look forward to having a candid conversation with all of you on how we can implement and take this forward. So thank you so much for joining us, and looking forward to interesting conversations today. Asante.
Thank you so much, Phyllis. Round of applause to her. Thank you so much for the opening remarks. That's Phyllis Wakiaga, Chief Executive, Kenya Association of Manufacturers. I almost put you on the spot to ask you what was your answer to how many trees you've planted, Phyllis, but let me spare you for now. Maybe I'll attack the chair. All right, so I hope you're doing well. So far, so good, and really appreciating the fact that we need to appreciate the fact that these trees are important for us to do that. And I love the quote that just started from Wangari Maathai, a champion for ensuring that the forest covering this country keeps on growing. The next remarks we're going to have is from Mr. Walid Badawi, United Nations Development Program resident representative in Kenya. That is online. And so, Mr. Walid Badawi, welcome. I think you're still muted, Mr. Badawi. If you don't mind, do you want to check whether you are unmute? All right, just a second, sir. We want to ensure that we can get you clearly. Technical team is checking on you on your end. But in the meantime, as we wait for the technical team to do this, somebody told me something. If everybody in this country decided to do something, which I was trying to allude to, I don't know, what do you normally do on your birthday? You know, what do you normally do on your birthday? I'm trying to buy some time here. You normally buy a cake, is it? Did somebody say they plant a tree? That would be interesting. Can you imagine if everybody on their birthday, because how much is a cake on average? It's about 500 to 1,000 plus, is it? And how much is a tree? If you stop on the sides of the road there and ask for one tree, maybe a 50 bob or 100 bob, and you have a nice tree. If everybody planted a tree on their birthday, for example, what would happen? We have 45 million plus. That means every year would have close to about 40-something trees planted instead of cakes destroyed. But it's not bad to take cake, is it? So I think that will be a very good initiative. I don't know whether we are fine now or whether we need to move on to the next person. Technical team are waiting for your signal. Then we can proceed on. Should we? All right. So, yeah, we're just trying to do some maths here that it would be very nice if we planted all that. So, so this is a challenge I want to throw to you. If, for example, you are, let me not assume people are so old here.
Recording in progress.
Okay. I think we are getting there, almost there. If you hear that echo, it means we are working on something. Now, if you are 30 years, for example, and you've only planted, let's say about 15, that means you have a debt of about 15 more. So if everybody was to compensate on their years and plant the number of trees equivalent to the number of years they've lived, then it would actually really cover much. I had that philosophy from some old men who really do this and are very passionate as well about planting trees around this country. And they call themselves ambassadors of trees for birthdays, so which is a very nice thing. It's one way of ensuring people do that. And if the kids can buy that, I was just getting some technical knowledge on how I need to do this so that I don't get some echo on the back there. So I was saying this, let me finish my challenge. So you can imagine what, in fact somebody said if you want something to go through generations, go to the kids. And children are the ones who really celebrate their birthdays much, especially in their schools and all that. So if the best gift you can one day walk into that school for your child or grandchild is a tree, and say, I've just brought you a eucalyptus, imagine. Then they will create a culture of planting trees. But it doesn't start with the kids, even you yourself. So I've just been told I am ready now to cue in. All right, so I want to welcome you once again, Mr. Walid Badawi. I'll be going silent immediately after this. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me now? Am I coming through? Excellent. I think one of the challenges of not being there in person, so my sincere apologies that I had to link in virtually. I would have certainly wanted to be there with you at the Kempinski, but such is the challenges of the day. But thank you so much to Ms. Phyllis Watiaga, Chief Executive Officer of CAM, for inviting me to be here, albeit virtually, to speak to you today on this very, very important occasion. Let me acknowledge the presence of the chairperson of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, my friend Alfred Gichu, CEC from representing the chairperson of the Water, Forestry and Natural Resources Management Committee of COG, our friends in KEFRI, development partners, UN colleagues, Ladies and gentlemen, let me say all protocols observed, and indeed something that makes sense when you're connected virtually, in case I have missed anyone. But let me say it's really a sincere pleasure to join you this morning as CAM launches its Forestry Business Sustainable Action Plan. And this launch cannot be more timely, coming just a few days after the conclusion of last week's Commercial Forestry Investment Conference, which was organized by KEFRI and we're UNDP. We were pleased to partner. I'll speak a little bit more to that. But also on the heels of the 7th Annual Devolution Conference, which also just concluded last week in Mequinnie, and I presume many colleagues in the room were also there. It was a very lively event with a lot of action to mobilize the response to climate change, and reforestation and afforestation was very high on the discussions in Mequinnie, but also on the heels of the recently concluded COP26 in Glasgow. And I'm sure we've all seen and heard the global commitments to end deforestation made in Glasgow, all of which make the landing of this action plan by CAM very, very opportune. Let me say that it is a pleasure for us as UNDP to add our voice to other forestry sector actors, including investors, wood processors, and researchers in the commercial forestry sector, because this advances, this commitment that we're making here advances the vision that we as UNDP have reaffirmed on a number of occasions, the importance of sustainable forestry for sustainable development. And most recently, I would say in the flagship Human Development Report of 2020, some of you may have seen, this was our 30th anniversary report, which was on the theme of the next frontier, human development and the Anthropocene, whereby we sought in this flagship publication to temper how human development activity can take place while at the same time easing planetary pressures based on a three-pronged approach that we had articulated in the report, where we talk about equity, innovation, and stewardship. Phyllis, I know we have a long pending meeting that was supposed to happen just at the onset of COVID back in February, March 2020, and that never materialized. We've met on the sidelines of various occasions, most recently at the launch of the UN's Common Country Analysis. But I think as we meet here today at the launch of this action plan, is very befitting, but I think our commitment to come together as UNDP and CAM in a bilateral space to see how we can take this forward and other areas of mutual interest is not lost on us, and we shall revert. Although I'm worried, given our previous history, that we end up triggering another pandemic just by virtue of our commitment to get together. But we will make that happen, preferably early in the new year. Now, we all know how COVID has really dealt us all and continues with the new variants to paralyze global trade and commerce and life as we know it. And so let me just backtrack a little bit to when COVID first hit. As UNDP globally, we launched what we call our COVID-19 offer that aimed to support countries in addressing the strengthening and the building of the resilience of the healthcare system in its first instance, but also in reducing the socioeconomic impacts of the pandemic for particularly the most marginalized and vulnerable members of our communities. We did that working with both national and county governments, and we, in the process, helped to mobilize a significant amount of resources that were deployed essentially to, scale up digital solutions. And we've seen how technology has come in. We've looked at financing a number of innovations across a number of challenges that looked at how to spur businesses in a number of new sectors that can address the socioeconomic impacts of COVID, but also supporting business continuity in key government and non-government partners that we work with, raising awareness about the impacts of COVID-19 and many, many others. But one of the key results that we're very pleased to have supported under our COVID-19 offer was to support the National Treasury in planning in the development of its economic recovery strategy from COVID-19, but also the county level socioeconomic re-engineering and recovery strategy. Both of these aim to build forward better and greener. And UNDP was keen to bring its global experience to bear in supporting the country as it really defines these trajectories. Very important now, of course, as Kenya goes into the development of the fourth midterm plan. The thrust of our support here was, again, coming back to the theme of our Human Development Report of striking that balance between people and planet, and making sure that these strategies that the country develops advocate for de-risking nature-based solutions while addressing the single most important issue of youth unemployment in the country. For us, let me shift to the work that we do with the private sector. And here we work essentially in two main ways, what we call private sector development and private sector engagement. And both of these really aim to increase the contribution, particularly of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises into growth and poverty reduction activities in the countries that we serve. Let me say that I would characterize our work around the three mutually reinforcing C's, as I would call them: catalyzing, convening, and capitalizing on the work that the private sector does in development. And this is really aimed at, as we know, the critical role that the private sector has and continues to play in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. So as part of our catalyzing work, I think the launch of the action plan today takes place really against the backdrop of something that we were pleased to introduce in 2020 under our global flagship initiative called SDG Impact, by the production of SDG investor maps. These maps have actually delineated potential opportunity areas that are ripe for private sector investments in Kenya, be they domestic or foreign. And in the process of producing these maps, we've identified 13 investment opportunity areas that align with the Big Four Agenda Vision 2030 and DMTP3, and soon, hopefully, MTP4. And so I think this SDG investor map, and I encourage you and would be happy to share more information on accessing it online, provides a way of de-risking some of the investments from the private sector into these 13 investment opportunity areas, including infrastructure, renewable energy, and the likes that are certainly priorities for Kenya. Moving on to convening, and here UNDP has been supporting, and my friend Alfred Gishu there is our main partner in this, the National RED Plus strategy. And among other things, this strategy really calls for scaling up of afforestation, reforestation, and landscape restoration programs for livelihoods improvement, as well as increasing the productivity of public plantation forests. And it targets the public plantation forests essentially to maximize the productivity of these public commercial forests to avail wood resources for construction, but also industrial purposes, while effectively allowing participation of the private sector and communities therein. And so we're very pleased with the work that we've been doing under the leadership of the Ministry of Environment and Forestry in the implementation of the REDD+. And I would strongly also recommend that we look at some of the connection points between the investment plan developed under the REDD+ and the work of CAM as it operationalizes this action plan. On capitalizing, let me say that we know the challenges to the fiscus brought even more to the fore with COVID-19 and its impacts. But as a lower middle income country, we know Kenya has limited budgetary allocations made to the forestry sector. And that is why we have joined hands with the government to see how we can support the mobilization of various types of finance to the forestry sector in particular, but to address climate change more broadly. And here let me say that just last week on the occasion of the Kenya Commercial Forestry Investment Conference, and we were very pleased to partner with KEFRI, and our role was again to provide some catalytic support in that conference to bring in innovations, but also engage young people in the value chain of that agroforestry sector, because we see that this is highly youth underrepresented in that sector. And this was, again, the inspiration for another one of our programs that we call GREAP, which is the Green Economy Youth Activation Program, an initiative that basically seeks to draw in young people in that green economy and recovery from COVID and building forward better. Let me also say that the partnership with CAM is not new to UNDP. We've had previous collaboration through our business call to action program that aimed to accelerate progress towards the MDGs, and now is actually being reoriented, of course, to the SDGs. Let me also refer here to our partnership with the MSIA, the Micro Small Enterprises Authority. And just last week, we were launching together with the leadership of MSIA the registration system for micro small enterprises to ensure that we move towards that formalization of the MSME sector in the country, a very important step if Kenya is to take advantage of the opportunities presented by the African Continental Free Trade Area. Also, as part of our efforts to help Kenya mobilize sustainable finance, I'm very pleased to announce also the launch very soon under the leadership of the Ministry of Environment and Forestry of our Tree Growing Fund, an initiative that is aimed to catalyze international development finance from bilateral, multilateral sources through the fiduciary strength of our multi-partner trust fund to help actually Kenya plant those over 2 billion trees between now and next year, as the president's initiative to plant those 2 billion trees by next year really takes stock. And I was really happy to participate in Makueni of that planting of the 2 millionth tree as part of the devolution forest, and I was certainly there to plant a few trees myself, but not only in Makueni, but elsewhere. And we're very pleased to be partnering in this tree growing fund with our sister agencies, UNEP, FAO, and the UN Capital Development Fund, where we do seek to bring in the private sector very directly into this acceleration program towards that 10% target by next year. So let me stop there and really appreciate CAM for this launch today. Again, I'm so sorry I couldn't be there with you in person, but I look forward to that engagement, Phyllis, and we will take that conversation forward. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Walid Badawi. There's a lot of claps happening here live. I hope we can hear some of them. So we appreciate your contributions and even your remarks on that. Very quickly, because of time, I want to request Mr. Kaberia Kamensu, who is present. He represents the Kenya Timber Manufacturers Association as well for his remarks. A round of applause for him as well. Karibu sana.
Thank you, MC. The guest of honor, distinguished guests, CAM leadership, of course, led by Madam Boss, Phyllis, and Chair. CAM members present, the staff, and other forest stakeholders, good morning. I'm quite excited to be here at the launch of the Forestry Business Sustainability Report. I wear two hats, one as a member of CAM, and two as a sawmiller in the timber industry. So through Jackson, and we have a sector led by Hitesh, we've been working this, I think it's been about a year now. I'm getting this, so I'm quite happy that this has come to fruition. I'm going to try to be as succinct as possible. The first thing I'd just like to talk about and to understand why we are here and why we start that report is most importantly sustainability of forest extraction. That in the past, this has not happened, and it's not something very easy to zero in on, but we were very clear that whatever happens in our forests, it has to be sustainable. If it's not sustainable, we'll not be able to do it. I think we can already see the climate vagaries we're having, based, of course, on our reduced forest cover. So for us, as CAM membership and as timber players, the sustainability of forest extraction is a very key item to us. The second point is continuity of business. I mean, as CAM members, we came to the way the forest sector has been over the last 20 years, it's extremely difficult to be an investor in the sector because they're extremely, forests get closed today, they get opened after 2 years, they get closed for 10 years, they open for 4 years. So until we nail this right, it is a threat to us as investors on how can our business be continued. And it ties back to the initial point of sustainability of the entire exercise. My third point is as the different, I'm absolutely convinced, and I think we've had chats with Bwana Chairman Kenya regarding this. I'm absolutely convinced that as a different stakeholders, we have the answers to everything that plagues this sector. And we'd like, and we want a situation where we talk to each other, where we exchange ideas, as opposed to silo mentality and talking at each other. Dryland forestry, Bwana Chair, the future. It's quite clear that Kenya, our population has been growing. Our land is not growing in tandem with the population. Unfortunately, a lot of these plantation forests that Walid was talking about are in highland areas. You're talking about fertile areas where there's competition between food security and forests. So food security is going to win every time. Their future is dryland forestry. We have vast tracts of land across this country that are not being utilized. Let's look and see how can we get in different species, like for example, Melia, Vokensil. Let's get out of this whole state forest because it's not going to be enough. Our population is growing, the demand is growing. I think, Jackson, the report, you projected the demand, I think, will be double in, I think, 2050. That's what we projected. So as we're doing it right now, it will not work in the future, so we need to look outside the box. Finally, just an update. Government, led by KFS, of course, has been working quite hard in the background. As of now, they finalized doing the verification of sawmills across the country. This was quite a tedious exercise, but very important. In the past, we have had what we call paper sawmillers. So these are guys who have licenses in the forest, but they do not have a single piece of equipment. So what they do is, and that's, I think on the report we were saying the political interference we've seen in the past, but KFS actually, led by Chair here, Kenya, you've done an excellent job. We'd like to appreciate it. The licenses are out, and now we're just waiting for the next step. So it's been almost 4 years, but we'd rather do things right and not come back here again than be having these knee-jerk reactions we've been having in the past. So pretty much, that's all from us. We'd like to appreciate you. Have a good day.
All right, thank you so much. That's Kabere Kimenzu, representative of Kenya Timbers Manufacturers Association. And very positive comments there, really applauding what the efforts of Kenya Association of Manufacturers in ensuring there is fair play, licensing and all that. So we appreciate that as well from our end. Now, we are still going on with remarks, and I hope you are convinced that this conversation is important because we need to have sustainable ways of dealing with our forest cover. And we're about to get to the close of the launch itself. But before then, we have Dr. Joshua Cheboiwo, absolutely, Director, Kenya Forestry Research Institute. He's here as well, and he's going to as well give his remarks. Oh, we have a representative in the house, absolutely. I think I didn't get the memo, but it's good. Karibu sana.
The Lord is good. The Lord is good. And all the time. Yes, and especially today when it has rained, we've been waiting for the rains, and we really thank God that He has heard our prayers. This morning, I'm grateful and honored to be here to represent my director, Dr. Joshua Cheboiwo. He informed me yesterday to come and represent him in this meeting. Standing on the protocol that was recognized, I want to say that KEFRI is ready and is a partner in sustainable forestry. Before I read the speech, I want to carry over from our very, very successful Commercial Forestry Investment Conference, which we had last week, with a lot of support from very many partners. We didn't realize how important the commercial angle of forestry is. It has also been said that land is not increasing. We have traditionally focused on the humid highlands, and assets are there to be exploited. And as we exploit the assets, we want to confirm that KEFRI has the technologies. We've been working in research since 1934, and you can be sure we have very many products in our shelves. No researchers. Tradition ours is to research and put our research in the shelves. But we have a lot of technologies which we can share with you. I'm a tree doctor, commonly, Dr. Iwamiti. And I live to that title. My training is in forest pathology. That is the health of trees. Madam Chair, let me tell you something. If you're going to have sustainable forestry, sustainable anything, the health comes first. The health of whatever you're doing comes first. Because we are also aware in this country, people have tried to invest in forestry, and they have invested in the wrong site, the wrong species. So we are talking about species site matching. And that is one of the main principles in forest pathology, that the environment in which you plant your trees or your crops is important. The other key principle that we have is the plant itself. What are you planting, and what are you planting it for, and how are you planting it, How are you looking after it? What product do you want at the end of it? The other principle, the third one, is you. Because determine is important, what is not. So in terms of your decision to engage in commercial forestry, what do you know? What knowledge do you have? What skills do you have? Do you know how to do it right? And that's where we exist. As the Kenya Forestry Research Institute, we are open. We are a national institution. We share our information freely. And together with the Kenya Forest Service, and I acknowledge my chairman is here, we serve in the same board. The role of the Kenya Forest Service is to extend that information, to show us how to do it. Therefore, the forest managers, they have the experts. So when all of us join together, we are going to have a sustainable forestry business. And sustainable, what is the role of research in all this? I know most people don't like to hear about research. But also, I'm reminded of a quote that starving research and development is like eating seed maize. Are we together? Starving research and development is like eating seed maize, meaning you will not have something to rely on, to work on, if you do not continuously support research to give you new information, new technologies, and new ways of doing things. You reach a point where you'll not be able to move far. We thank our Cabinet Secretary and the leadership of the ministry for leading us through the logging ban. I say the moratorium was a good option for us at this particular time. Through it, we have learned, and our friend from the timber manufacturers has told us we used to have paper sawmills. Through the leadership of our chairman, we now have real sawmills. We have verified them, and we are about to also engage the public in terms of now buying or using or concessioning. We are ready for talks. As a researcher, we are ready for ideas. We are ready for new things. Allow now me to read our speech from the director, and it starts with the Principal Secretary, Minister of Environment and Forestry, Dr. Chris Kipto, who is represented here by Mr. Alfred Gishu, the Chairman, Board of Directors of Kenya Forest Service, Mr. Peter Kenywa, the UNDP Resident Representative in Kenya, Mr. Waldi Badawi, Chief Executive CAM, Ms. Phyllis Wakiaga, Chairman, Forest and National Resources Management Committee, COG, Mr. Francis Duita, and I'm told he is represented here. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Forests are valuable environmental and economic resources for supporting natural systems, for improving human welfare, and hence forest managers and forest makers today face the challenge of achieving a balance between development and maintenance of natural systems, and thereby ensuring the integrity and stability of forest ecosystems. Forests provide diverse business opportunities to the private sector for wealth creation and employment activities as outlined in the government blueprint, Big Four agenda in manufacturing, universal health, food security, and affordable housing. For the business sustainability and action plan for the paper provides some forestry research and innovation and business opportunities to enhance socioeconomic development and conservation in the country. The outlines opportunities in tree seedlings production, plantations, woodlots, logging and processing, value addition, and trade. The forests include the 2.5 million hectares in the arsals and woodlands and 10.3 million hectares on the farmlands. This paper also looks at business opportunities in the intra and global trade opportunities, especially the Africa Free Trade Area. Carefree and stakeholders in the last 30 years have developed and deployed various technologies and innovations to enhance production, processing, and distribution of tree seed in the country. Most of the technologies and innovations are ready to be commercialized by the private sector under various investment policy and registrations to cater for SMEs, large corporations to serve various users ranging from large-scale to small-scale operators. Policy and legal environment. The country has enacted several policies and legislation to support forestry and environmental sector development, including forestry, renewable energy, climate change, private-public partnerships, land use planning, community interest in natural resources, among others. Some of the key policies legislation include the Constitution of Kenya 2010, PPP Act 2013 of the Kenya Law gazetted on January 25, 2013, Draft National Forest Policy 2016, the National Forest and Management Conservation Act 2016, the National Forest Program and Environmental Management Coordination Act, MCA 1999, revised in 2015. Forest Charcoal Rules 2009, the Energy Act 2006, Vision 2030, Agricultural Farm Forestry Rules 2009, Land and Land Use Policy 2009, among others. Seed production. To improve seed production, KEFRI has taken various innovations over time to ensure that high-quality seeds are available for forest development in the country. That include the following: establishment of high-quality seed sources, including seed stands and seed orchards, mapping and digitizing seed sources, policy and controls for certification of private seed producers, establishment of seed quality control unit, which is at advanced stages at KEFRI. The following are some of the business opportunities in this: supply of various equipment for seed testing and grading, construction and fabrication of seed dryers and cleaning, franchising and distribution of tree seeds, cleaning, branding and packaging and marketing of tree seeds, and of course, certified tree seed production on farms. On seedling production, the tree seed production is the largest commercial enterprise in the forestry sector in terms of players and diversity of products and services. Therefore, the business niches and innovations are also diverse and vast, but high-quality seedling sector is yet to be fully exploited. The following areas are some of the opportunities. 1, production and supply of various potting materials for different purposes. Greenhouses for production of high-quality seedlings through direct seeding. Clonal propagation, orchards for clonal seedlings. Tissue culture for mass propagation of seedlings. In terms of tree planting and restoration, the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 2021 to 2030 as a decade on ecosystem restoration to halt reverse the degradation of ecosystems worldwide. Kenya committed to restore 5.1 million hectares, and Bond Challenge, a national strategy on 10% tree cover 2019, aims at raising 2 billion seedlings by 2022. COP26 pledged another chance for big finance for the forestry sector. KEFRI, KFS, and other stakeholders have developed, piloted, and deployed various technologies and innovations for cost-efficient field establishment in the country. The following are some of the business opportunities. 1, CSR for the forest sector and forest adoption, forest concessions for commercial tree growing, new technologies using seed balls, seed bullets, and also aerial seeding, mechanized seed and seedling planting in advanced stages for piloting, private plantations and woodlots, such as in the tea estates, and we have examples led by Komaza, 1 Acre Fund, Gatsby Africa, Riply, and also Better Globe. They are the leaders in dryland forest plantations. We have payment of ecosystem services models, which have been developed and tested, and also climate change financing and RED Plus and accreditation with the Treasury. On bamboo production, since 1986, KEFRI has introduced lowland Asiatic bamboo species in addition to our single mountain bamboo, Eushania abyssinica, as part of the country's mixed options to diversify the supply base of natural forest resources. So far, KEFRI has introduced 12 Asiatic bamboos for diverse ecological zones and uses. Following are some of the businesses opportunities in this sector, that is establishment of plantations and woodlands of bamboo for commercial purposes, which has already been done by Africa Plantation Capital, Greenport, Bidco, and Greenpole. We also have SMEs in value addition, processing, and cottage industries in the various parts of the country. In terms of processing and value addition, the sawmilling industry is one of the largest and most developed wood-based industries in the country and East Africa. It is expanded to Uganda and is expected to increase wood supplies. The opportunities here include precision sawmilling, that is 5,000 hectares, which are at a cost of 10 billion by KFS and Uganda Wood. SMEs in sawmilling, wood misers for processing saw logs from farms, and I think Biashara Masters is good at that. We had them in our conference. In terms of also production of machinery and equipment and support services. And finally, we have the engineered wood processing, which is a collaboration with South Africa. The wood sector and furniture and joinery softwoods, the supplies from softwood from KFS and Uganda and hardwood from DRC. This is meant to enhance the country's position, to position Kenya as a hub for furniture businesses. The furniture market industries has a big market share and is both for local and export markets. In terms of non-timber forest products, this consists of a range of extracted products from forests and woodlands, including fruits, leaves, bark, gums, and resins, among others, for use in subsistence and also in trade. We have business opportunities in this, and some of which we have been incubating at our research centers, Karura. We have SMEs in nature-based industries, value addition and processing, and for this we international trade in herbal products, and for this, our best example is the baobab juice and also powder. We have trade in forest products, and for this we have the examples include the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which is the world's largest free trade area by connecting almost 1.3 billion people and 54 African countries with a trade valued at $70 billion by 2040. The Africa Free Trade Area rides on existing Africa Economic Community blocks, such as the East African Community, of the Sahelian African states. In Eastern Africa, intra-trade in forest products between Kenya, Tanzania, DRC, Congo, Uganda, and South Sudan has been growing mostly in timber, treated poles, charcoal, and the East Africa member countries are net importers of various manufactured wood-based products, mostly paper products, and reconstituted wood from Europe and Asia, which can be manufactured within the region. Therefore, the region and specifically Kenya, has vast investment opportunities in wood processing to meet the growing regional demand for various wood-based products. However, policy, legal, and infrastructure challenges need to be addressed to facilitate efficient trade in forest products between member countries. The transboundary timber business benefits an array of players, including power saw operators, business financiers, landowners, porters, transporters, security agencies, state agencies, and traders through royalties, taxes, wages, legal and illegal fees in the exit points of Kasindi, Mpondwe, Namanga, Lungalunga, Busia, and Malaba. Kenya is a big player in Eastern, Southern, and Central Africa trade with the recorded imports of softwood timber coming from Malawi and Zambia and hardwood from DRC, South Sudan, Gabon, and Gambia. There are more opportunities for expanded trade in timber into Central Africa Republic and Cameroon with improvement of Trans-Africa highways, with highways Mombasa to Lagos and Highway 4, Cairo, Gaborone being critical and associated interconnections. The key business import, re-export, go-downs, timber, manufactured materials, local and international brands, and franchising are some of the examples. The future of the forest sector development is real and growing. The demand for roundwood materials supplies in the country largely remains unmet and projected to grow, driven by rapid urbanization and expected gas and oil boom. The growth is expected to grow construction and infrastructure sectors that will create enormous opportunities for value-added wood industry in the country. Following are some of the critical information to watch. Tremendous growth of commercial woodlots and plantations in Kenya and Uganda, high elite planting materials, intensively managed forest plantations and woodlots, technologies for integrated harvesting and efficient processing of wood, engineered wood processing for furniture and construction. Studies indicate high return to investment from 20 to 25%, growth of tree growers associations, enhanced financing in primary and secondary production, spread of tree growing into the ursals, accelerated tree improvement process, growth in business and environment opportunities in technical and consulting services, national, regional, and international trade. With these remarks, I wish to say that KEFRI is there, and we are there for the industry. We are happy to work with Kenya Association of Manufacturers to ensure that forestry is sustainable business, and we can confirm that it is truly a commercial business. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jane Jiguna. Asante sana. Representing KEFRI, that is the Kenya Forestry Research Institute. Thank you so much for those remarks, and because of time as well, it's time that I now invited the chairperson. I already allotted him, but I'm going to attack him a bit. Chairperson, please, once you come, would you kindly let us know your answer, whether you have planted any and how many? I give you enough time to prepare for that. So karibu sana. A round of applause to the chairperson, Mushahi Kwenye, Kenya Association of Manufacturers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yes, and glad to see you all here. Special recognition to our guests from the forest sector and the UN and everybody else who's online, from the counties as well. Everybody who's here, welcome. I should start by answering the question. I've planted more trees than my age. See, that is enough. I'll leave you to guess the rest. And then, so it's not just 20. I know I look 20. Yes. But thank you very much for everyone who's been able to attend and be here and also work on this project, which is it's been a work for a while. We've heard also from KEFRI, and I think we'll be hearing from the others as well. There's a lot of work that has gone into this project, so we want to thank everybody who's been involved in it in that sense. And we've heard about the importance of trees. So coming from the business side and representing CAM, we can't, there are more informed people, in fact, including Dr. Wamiti, who can tell you about what trees do and how they help. But we want to acknowledge that they do help, they're important. And like Phyllis mentioned in our Ukamilifu program, from a manufacturing perspective, we are saying sustainability has to be a core part of what everyone is doing. And it's not just in the forestry sector. We are looking at it from plastics. We are looking at it in the chemical sector. We're looking at it in all other industries, even food. Whoever is there, we must have sustainability. Water, again, is becoming even more crucial. We've had rain, like we've been mentioning, but water has been scarce. We've done for many years a lot of work on energy through our Center for Energy Efficiency and Conservation. And we are now growing that into a Center for Green Growth and Climate Change, where we are saying we must do the work around sustainability. And that's important commercially. It's not just important for the world from an environmental perspective, but it's important commercially because businesses are beginning to find the impacts of climate change and sustainability coming to impact them. I think we've heard from the timber people what's happened around forestry. So those are challenges we must face and face up front. Now, we also know that on the other side, we are business people, we are commercial people, and we are trying to solve the needs of consumers in our country and our nation. We have a youngish country. Most of us are probably under the age of 18 or 20, and we are growing. And their needs and economic growth is going to become, it's not going to become, it is already a big issue for our country. Creation of jobs, creation of wealth. How are we going to feed these people? How are they going to live lives which are, what's the phrase we use? They're dignified lives, that they're going to be able to support themselves, to eat well, to live well, to live in warm houses, and all those kind of things, and healthy lives. And that is going to require us to grow our economy. That is going to require us to use the resources that we have within our boundaries to try and grow our economy. Manufacturing, we like to explain it as what we do is use the resources that you have at hand and try and transform them, add value to them so that they can be useful to people. That is going to be a continuing challenge for us. So we then have this balance between how do we become and enhance our sustainability while at the same time growing our economy and our commercial interests. Our belief is that the two are not mutually exclusive. We can do them together if we sit together, and it's a range of stakeholders. I was glad we had the UNDP, we've had the KEFRI, the Forest Service, and many other stakeholders who are interested in this. We can actually do this together. It is a big enough, in fact, it's so big an issue, like we saw also in Glasgow with COP26. It's not just about governments coming with the issue, with the policy. It's not just about environmentalists pushing. Business, government, all of us consumers, we must pull together to try and get these things going. So what we have here is an opportunity for us to do this together. From a government perspective, we also know government has ambitions as well and goals. Like one of the ones we always see around this particular area of forestry is the affordable housing project. The affordable housing project has a huge demand for timber as well, because you're going to have to put in doors, all other sorts of frames, cupboards and shelves and so on. And where is that going to come from? We want, at the same time, we want buy Kenya, build Kenya. We want local manufacturing to be involved so that we're not only importing. So these are things that now put pressure on us and say we must find solutions to these issues. So with this paper or the project we are launching, we are hoping that we are trying to give a private sector perspective on what we can do around forest, sustainable harvesting of forest, sustainable and commercial forestry where necessary. What we've done, which is important as well to think about whenever we engage with government as CAM, is to say global best practice. We are not the only people with these challenges. We can look elsewhere. We can look globally and see what are other people doing? What are the ideas? We don't have to copy and paste them because sometimes they don't fit, but we can learn from them and understand what is happening there. And I want to give maybe a special thank to Danish industries who have helped us with this. And I think in Scandinavia, they've got a huge and good, template of how you can do this and do it well. And so we hope we can learn some things there and then fit them into our local context. As we look at this also, I think is to think about, and it was mentioned where we are also getting timber, and the importance for us in Kenya also to say about, if timber is being used and it's coming from elsewhere, we also need to check what is the sustainability of those places. Because we might say, okay, we are banning our forest cutting here, but we'll get from Congo or Southern Sudan or wherever. But are they doing it any better? If we are going to be global citizens, we need to be responsible everywhere so that we are not creating, I think economists call them externalities, where somebody else is paying the cost for deforestation because we are not doing it here. So we need to sort out our issues here as well. And hopefully, even as we said, if we learn best practice, we will be able to export it and use it in these other markets where we can actually do well. So it's an important global and local issue that we need to resolve. we are happy as KEM to participate in it, to give our ideas and say these are the commercial realities. This is the way we can make this work profitably and sustainably as a way forward. So we look forward to the continued engagement, and we want to thank both the government, the ministry, the forestry bodies, KEFRI and KFS, for their open doors and willingness to engage with us. And we hope this will continue. We will find ways forward that are going to help us. And of course, not also forgetting the counties as well, who are an important part of this work. So thank you all very much, and we look forward to the continued conversation on this as we participate in it. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, Chairman. This is Moshai Kunyiha, Chairperson, Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Thank you for confirming that you have planted very many trees, more than 20. All right? Yeah, and actually you look 20. We'll talk about that later. You need to know the secret. Now, moving on, we have representatives all the way from the committee, the Council of Governors, representing His Excellency Francis Kimemia, and we have Milka Wanjiru, the CC, Water, Environment, Tourism, Natural Resources, Nyandarua County, right here in the house. So I want to request you to kindly come and give the remarks on behalf of the county representation.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to observe all the protocols, starting with the representative of PS from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, the CAM team led by the chairman and the CEO here, the forest stakeholders, the UNDP, and all of us. Good morning. My name is Milka Wanjiru. I am the CCM for Water, Environment, Tourism, Natural Resources, and Climate Change in the County Government of Nyandarua. I'm here to represent His Excellency Governor Francis Kimemia, who is the Governor Nyandarua County and also the Chair of Water and Environment, Water and Forest Management Committee at the COG. Before I read his remarks, I just want to say that we were having a discussion earlier on how many trees we've planted. And the question here was, the issue is not planting the trees. The issue is about growing the trees. And as a county, we have adopted a policy that we say, adopt and nurture a tree program. Not only growing, we plant, you adopt that tree, and you nurture that tree to maturity. And we are inculcating this culture to our children in school, where we have even provided badges for the best student who plants many trees and grows those trees to maturity. So we are committed to ensuring that we have a sustainable forest, and as a county government, we are committed towards this cause. I just want to read the remarks of His Excellency Governor and the Chair of the COG Committee. Having observed all the protocols, I'm delighted this morning to be part of the great achievement as we launch the Forest Business Sustainability Action Plan. Forest business, which includes all activities from production to distribution of forest goods and services, and also embracing industry, trade, and other activities like banking, transport, insurance, and warehousing, and facilitates production and distribution of goods and services, has for a long time been underrated and not handled with the seriousness it deserves. Sustainable forest management is a dynamic and evolving concept which aims to maintain and enhance the socio-economic and environmental values of all types of forests for the benefit of present and future generation. Forests, when sustainably managed, make vital contribution to the world, boosting livelihood, providing clean air and water, conserving biodiversity, and responding to climate change. In Kenya, 20.6% of the land is degraded, with about 12,000 hectares of forest land converted to other uses. Between 2000 and 2010, the country lost about 50,000 hectares of forest land, leading to a decline in water availability for about 62,000 cubic meters. Degradation is estimated to cost the Kenya economy at least 3% of the GDP annually from soil and nutrient depletion on our crops. A new report from the World Resource Institute and the Nature Conservancy found that business across technology, consumer products, project management, and commercial forest sectors are making money from planting trees, with sales growing up to 10 times per year. The Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, FAO, recently estimated that about 13 million hectares of the world forests are lost due to deforestation each year. The large-scale deforestation and sustainable land resources management are associated with significant decline in biodiversity, ecosystem functions, and are identified as the key drivers to climate change. They also have huge negative impact on nature and humanity. The just concluded Conference of Parties, COP26 in Glasgow, on the United Nations Climate Change Convention, attempted to deliver a level of ambition and outcome to keep the aspiration of 1.5 degrees alive. The critical role of nature and biodiversity in abating climate change has been strongly acclaimed and acknowledged for the first time. Nature and biodiversity has been very much resisted and only in margins, seen as elements that should be dealt with independent of the climate COP process. The global dialogue aligns with the Kenya's aspirations and commitment, and with this launch of the Forest Business Sustainability Action Plan. We all must work towards building partnership to develop tailored sustainable actions that support the forest sector in Kenya, both at the national and at the county government. In this spirit, the county government must spearhead the locally led and initiate continuous dialogue with communities, non-governmental organizations, cooperative, community-based organizations working in nature and biodiversity. This far, counties are in the forefront to ensure that they are in line with the call for climate actions. Counties have established institutions and enacted the relevant laws in line with this agenda. There are deliberate actions by the county government as they transit from CIDP 2 to CIDP 3 to ensure that they streamline the climate action in all departments, sustainable forest being top of the agenda. The just concluded Evolution Conference under the theme Multi-Level Governance for Climate Action and the resolution thereof is an indication of the commitment the county governments have towards sustainable forest management. Ladies and gentlemen, to improve sustainability, business forestry must integrate ecological functionality and enhancement of human well-being across deforested and degraded forest landscape, not just planting trees, but restoring entire landscape to meet present and future needs. Business forests must balance both biophysical and socioeconomic outcomes to promote a triple win scenario in terms of biodiversity conservation, ecosystem service, supply, and livelihood improvement. Indigenous communities have for long been managing tropical forests and must be empowered to gain local access to the resource base. They should be supported to form small and medium forest enterprises to add value to the timber and non-timber forest products. These enterprises present a promising option to prevent reduction and forest conservation through sustainable forest management. Development of small and medium forest enterprises into economically viable businesses requires an enabling environment. In terms of laws and policies that promote legal access to the resource base, provide incentives for sound forest management, support increased value adding, and promote the formation of human, social, physical, and financial capital for sustainable production of timber and non-timber products. Governments can play a critical role in building economically viable small and medium forest enterprises. They can start by granting and enforcing legal access to forest resources, simplifying bureaucracies, procedures related to registration and operation can reduce cost and enhance value-adding opportunities. Financial incentives, including tax breaks for startups, are an additional positive step. Small and medium forest enterprises can improve their own competitiveness in national and international market for forest-based products, upgrading technical business and technical capacities, and creating special institutional arrangement for business management will add value to the timber and non-timber product, reduce production and administration costs, facilitate new business partnership, and provide a base for negotiating more favorable terms of trade. The organization of these enterprises into second-level business associations may accelerate the upgrading process. Business development services require great coverage and quality. Special emphasis need to be given to the training and education of critical mass of rural business development services providers. Market-based mechanisms for service delivery are essential to ensure the impact and sustainability of these services. Financial services are critical for the startup and development of these enterprises. Specific credit line and rated services and mechanisms such as public-private partnership need to be developed according to the need and nature of the enterprises. Finally, the county governments are committed towards implementation of forest business sustainability action plan and are ready to partner in any way with all stakeholders to ensure sustainable forest use. Thank you, Governor Francis Kimemia, the Chair of Water and Natural Resources at the Council of Governors. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again for those remarks from His Excellency Francis Kimemia, who represents the Council of Governors in these matters of water, forestry, and natural resources. Thank you so much as well, Madam CC, for really coming through and representing. And we appreciate the fact that the county governments as well are involved. I like the new terminology. It's not just about planting, it's also about growing, is it? Maybe I should rephrase my question way early on. How many trees have you grown? But thank you so much for that. We are nearing now the session where we're going to have the launch. But before then, we also have the representatives of the PS Ministry of Environment, that is Alfred Gichu, and he's going to be joining us virtually. He's the Director of Forestry Ministry and Environment, and I want to welcome him to kindly give his remarks. Alfred.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Apologies first for the absence of the Principal Secretary in the meeting this morning. He was attending to another urgent assignment. But the Principal Secretary and the Ministry of Environment and Forestry fully recognizes the role of the private sector in delivery of the national aspirations in the forest sector. I think all of us are aware that the ministry is coordinating efforts towards the realization of the national forestry goals, which we are all familiar with, and it's about the accelerated achievement in maintenance of a minimum 10% tree cover. Definitely this is not going to be a walk in the park. It's going to be an assignment that will require full participation of all stakeholders in this country to deliver what we want in forestry. The ministry has also, not just the ministry, it's the government, that has made a number of international commitments with regard to forest. And these commitments relate to climate change, they relate to biodiversity conservation, they relate to combating desertification, and we have also just signed on to a global decade of what we call forest restoration. These commitments require that we do things differently. And I'm therefore happy to see us launching an ambitious action plan that will provide an opportunity for the private sector to significantly contribute to what we want and want to see in forestry. A lot of opportunities are present in the sector, and some of them present in the way the private sector does business there. And you know, the private sector operates across what you call the timber value chain. There are a number of us, the private sector players, who operate in the at the production stage, the production of timber, what we call tree growing. A number of us are also participating in the conversion process. Private sector players participate in manufacturing. Private sector players also participate in energy provision, and opportunities present across the chain for improved efficiency and effectiveness. So for me, from where I see it and where the ministry sees it in terms of coordination, we see very strong opportunities for us to engage across the chain. Perhaps what we will need to do moving forward, even as we all play our different roles, is to see strengthened partnerships, strengthened collaboration, with the knowledge that there is definitely a place where the private sector has strength. There are places where the public sector has strength, and opportunities present then for improved collaboration and partnerships. There is a strong interest in all of us for public-private partnerships that requires to be developed. There is strong need for us also to see where we can incentivize efforts across the chain so that the SMEs can do what they do more efficiently and effectively. So from where I see it as a ministry, I think it's an opportunity for us to engage and effectively partner in moving forward. So we look forward as a ministry then to embrace the action plan that is going to be shared with us and to play our role moving forward as required. So thank you very much, and look forward then to the next steps already. Santeni-san.
Thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much for your words. That's Alfred Gishu, Director of Forestry in the Ministry of Environment. Asante sana. All right, now to our final remarks of the day, we have our guest, Mr. Peter Kinyua, the Chairman, Kenyan Forest Service. He's right here. And I will leave it up to him to see whether he can answer some of the questions the chair had to tackle. But karibu sana, a round of applause to our guest. Karibu sana.
Good morning, everyone. To answer some of the questions, one of them was how many trees you've planted. I find it difficult to answer that. Planted millions of trees, that's KFS, I would say, or hundreds of thousands, I must say. So that is not a challenge on our side. On our part is how many trees have we grown? And I saw you correct yourself. Yeah. Thank you. So good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Mushai Kunyia, Chairman, Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Alfred Gishu, Ministry of Environment and Forestry representative. Milka Wanjiro, CEC, Nyandarua Water, representing His Excellency Francis Kimwemi. Badawi, Kenya United Nations Development Program, resident representative to Kenya. Dr. Jane Juguna, Deputy Director, Kenya Forestry Research Institute. Madame Kalenda, Deputy Chief Conservator of Forests. Mr. Kimencho, Representative, Kenya Timber Manufacturers Association. Ms. Phyllis Wakiaga, Chief Executive, Kenya Association of Manufacturers. All protocols observed. Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure for me to join you today as we launch of the Forestry Business Sustainable Action Plan by the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. This is a private sector-led document that has been developed through a participatory process, taking on board the interests of key stakeholders. Developing and launching of this action plan is a clear demonstration of the private sector's commitment to support the government and the forest institutions in revitalizing the forest sector and making it more vibrant and competitive in the region. The Forestry Business Sustainable Action Plan sets the stage for enhanced collaboration between forestry institutions and forestry industry players through a common strategic approach of addressing the challenges facing the forest sector. Kenya Forest Service is working with the Kenya Association of Manufacturers collectively and at individual affiliate levels in various areas of mutual interest across the wood value chain. The service manages 2.5 million hectares of public forests, out of which 5% are commercial forest plantations managed for the purpose of providing raw material to wood-based industries in the country. The service has developed and implements forest management policies, strategies, programs, instruments that facilitate private sector effectively develop and manage wood value chains. During this financial year, 860 forest industry investors have expressed interest and have been registered to do business with Kenya Forest Service through the just concluded e-registration exercise. There are investors who want to source wood-based raw materials from public forests for sawmilling, pole treatment, and fuel wood. This is besides the thousands of investors engaged in the processing, transportation, and marketing businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, to reduce the gap between supply and demand of raw materials for wood-based industries, Kenya Forest Service is providing technical expertise to private forestry farmers to enhance the quality and quantity of wood-based raw materials sourced from private forests. Besides producing raw materials for the wood-based industries, the service is partnering with the private sector and other stakeholders in restoring and developing and managing urban public forest parks. This provides an opportunity for the private sector to offset their carbon footprints and contribute to environmental sustainability and climate change mitigation. This program has been seen in 5 public urban green spaces in Nairobi, namely the Arboretum, Mishuki Park, City Park, Karura, and Ngong Forest, which have been rehabilitated and restored for public utility. The program has been receiving a great support from the private sector, among them NCBA Bank, that supported the establishment of a 1 million capacity tree nursery in Karura Forest, Tana Athi Waterworks that dug a borehole to provide sustainable water for seedling production in the Nairobi Arboretum. Kenna, who has pledged a large amount of funding towards the state-of-the-art nursery in the same park. AAR Healthcare, who are partnering with Kenya Forest Service in the Ngong Forest, and many others, including Equity Bank, who have adopted an urban forest along Ngong Road, Section 1. The program is being replicated in other counties with public urban forests. The private sector and other stakeholders are welcome to support this noble program. It has a very flexible funding arrangement which allows all partners and stakeholders to participate in any type of support. One can contribute tree seedlings, expertise in designing and managing urban green spaces, funds, labor, benches, dustbins, infrastructure, and even moral support. In return, the private firms can advertise their products in the parks, brand material support, and can access the parks to enjoy the ecosystem services therein. We are already working with several firms like Safaricom, Airtel, EABL, banks, insurance companies, only to name a few. You're all invited to join us in this noble journey towards a sustainable future. Distinguished Kenya Forest Service also supports the private sector through training of foresters at diploma and certificate levels at the Kenya Forest College, Loindiani. There are personnel that provide forest management expertise for the sector. The college also provides short courses to provide or upgrade specific skills required in forest management, processing, value addition, tree nursery management, and efficient wood utilization. The forestry industry players are invited to take their staff to this college as we collectively strive to enhance the efficiency of wood production and its utilization. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya Forest Service is leveraging on technology to enhance efficiency and effectiveness in the service delivery of Kenyan citizens. The service targets to automate and integrate the systems that we use. Among the key processes that have already been automated and which I believe shall benefit some of the CALM members are the e-registration of forest industry investors, registration of private forests, and reporting of forest crimes. I'm delighted to take part in the launch of the CAM Business Sustainability Action Plan. The document has highlighted or outlined the critical areas of intervention for various stakeholders, identified the gaps, and made specific recommendations on the way forward towards business sustainability in the forest sector. This is a good move that shall guide the forest sector players in determining priority areas for intervention based on their respective mandates. Kenya Forest Service, being one of the key stakeholders in the sectors, will prioritize the development and implementation of programs of mutual interest to the private sector towards forestry business sustainability in Kenya. I have no doubt in my mind that the implementation of the action plan we are launching today will greatly transform the forestry sector in Kenya in many ways, including increasing of the national forest cover to a minimum of 10% of the land area, enhancing sustainable use of forest resources, information sharing for informed decision-making, and increasing efficiency at the various forest product value chains. Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to assure CAM and the general public that Kenya Forest Service shall continue to ensuring adherence to government regulations that advocates for the transparency, accountability, and good forest governance to, among other things, that attract investors to the forest sector. I just would like to make a few remarks Kenya Forest Service my board has just approved the opening up of forests. The felling plan we approved last week, and we are moving along. This is going to be an IT-based system. It's not going to be licensing. Paper licensing as the past. It's going to be numerical. And I believe that we have set in place many things that we found were wrong within the sector. One of the things my board has been striving to do is work with private sector. You can see it across the board. One area I think that we need to go and visit is the City Park. A lot of work has taken place in City Park, and it's been done by private sector. There's a rehab center in City Park, and they have actually gone out of the way and cleaned up all the graves and most of City Park. This it is actually help from private sector. Kenya Forest Service, apart from having its guard there, has really not spent any money there. And across the board, you're seeing more and more private sector. So this conference or this paper actually comes and can show Kenyans what is being done. In terms of the timber players and moratoriums, mine is only to say that as part of Kenya Forest Service, corruption is precipitated by private sector. If there's no corruption or no inducement to our staff, I believe things will go in the right direction. So let us not point fingers at government. Let us also say as private sector, we are responsible for some of these actions, but the way forward has come. Kenya Forest Service, we have just restructured most of it. I think there's only 1 or 2 areas done. I think we've done 95% of what was required. And with the support of private sector, I believe that these moratoriums will be a thing of the past. So this is all going to be IT-based. I cannot help you get a license. I can't help my brother get a license. You put in your application, there's a checklist. It's a multi-agency team that is working on this. And moving forward, I believe if you have the correct documentation, the correct machinery, then you will not have paper sawmills. So that is something I believe that my board has worked quite hard on. And I believe that some of the things that happened in the past are the past. So Kenya Forest Service to me is a new vehicle that you can work with. With those remarks, I just wish to encourage manufacturers and other stakeholders to support the implementation of the plan being launched here today. Kenya Forest Service shall be open to partnerships in adoption and implementation of some of the strategies outlined that we're about to launch. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much. A better round of applause to our chief guest, Mr. Peter Kinyua, Chairman, Kenya Forest Service. Thank you so much for the many, and we even hope many others will be planted and grown as well. I have to use that word now. Great. Recording in progress. Now, we want to proceed on now to an amazing part of it. Before we do that, you know, the CEO was here and she talked amazingly about KEM's ESG initiative, an amazing one. And maybe you're wondering, what is all that about? And I have a video for you to check out as the amazing KEM team is preparing for our amazing launch that is about to happen. So let's check out that video right now. So technical team, could you play that video? Video, please. In the meantime, please, as we're getting the video, I think it's ready now. Okay, fine. I have been told to proceed on. I think they also want the virtual persons to participate. Okay, there you go. I can see it playing. So if you can have sound.
Progress and thrive. In industries, we have made tremendous strides. Throughout history, humanity has needed to invent and innovate to survive, progress, and thrive. Through industries, we have made tremendous strides in our own evolution. Our relationship with our inventions has, however, cost us along the way. We have seen depletion, degradation, and erosion to many aspects of our lives. Isn't it time to change that? Isn't this the moment to re-engineer these inventions to restore, revive, and rejuvenate? Isn't it time for us to bridge this gap through our creations, through our industries? The dawning of a renewed connection between our humanity, our inventions, and our future comes to life at Ukamilifu. Ukamilifu, advancing wholeness, advancing continuity, advancing Kenya.
Kama ni black sura yangu ni ya Kenya, kama ni green mboga nitakula Kenya, kama ni white peace nitalinda Kenya, na kama ni red damu yangu ni ya Kenya. Yo manzeni aje hapa hivi ni Dash Jontes, artist at Dandora Hip Hop City and also founder at Ndoto Zetu Kenya. Ndoto Zetu is a community-based organization that works with kids from the age of 5 years to 17 years with an aim of equipping them with the life skills, communication skills, and artistic skills. Na appreciate impact ya CAM. So DHC lisign MOU na CAM about waste management. We did cleanups manze. Another thing CAM il support ilitupatia CSR deck manze, tulishine mbaya, walituletea gifts manze, food kibao, manguo. So through CAM naweza sema watu hii walismile mbaya deck.
I'm a person living with physical challenge. I do some business. I make motorcycles for persons with disability. CAM has trained me on how to get job market, how to market my things, arrange my place of work so that I attract more people to come and buy.
Throughout history, humanity has needed to invent and innovate to survive, progress, and thrive. It's the moment for us to re-engineer these inventions. It's the time for us to restore, to rejuvenate, and to revive.
We live in a community, we work in a community, we are a community. Even within the business, you're working as a team. If we don't believe and work as a community, then only one person benefits from that business, and that's either the entrepreneur or the staff directly with that business.
I'd like to introduce the concept of Ukamilifu to you. Ukamilifu is a Kiswahili word that means wholeness and continuity. Why is it meaningful? It's because it's asking our business community to come together, to work together, to provide opportunities for the Kenyan people, to create equal opportunities where we can support our communities out there, our children, a better future for themselves and for their lives.
It really is about centering the vision for a more equal and just world in our adaptations of newer and more refined ways of doing business.
It's really amazing that CAM is doing Ukamilifu. It will uplift everyone around us. If we get all of us on board, every entrepreneur that's in CAM comes on board, imagine the huge impact that our innovation, our technology, our ideas will have within the society that we work with.
If CAM can come in and set a foundation which will help us fulfilling what we do, that can be a very big step ahead.
When we speak about Ukamilifu, the overarching question is really how do industries, as the pioneers of inventions, with their strong histories and their place in local and global economies, how do they make space for a more equal Kenya to be realized?
Ukamilifu is an ideology that creates holistic solutions together. And these are solutions that connect us and help us create a more equal society. The industry of the future is an industry that restores, rejuvenates, and revives. It's an industry that brings restoration.
Lazima tucheki vile tunaweza kuwa na society kamili, but hatuwezi kuwa na society kamili kama sauti za wasee wengine hazisikiki.
there you have it. I think that was a good brief of what KM's ESG initiative is all about, and definitely I hope you took in some notes. Now, I think this is the moment we've all been waiting for, and I can see the ladies somewhere here have set up something amazing. And I want to request our chief guest, Mr. Peter Kinyua, of course led by our chairman, Mr. Mushahi Kunyiha, and our CEO as well. Dr. Jane Kaberia as well, please come forward as well, and our CEC in the house as well. Please come forward. We want to have an amazing time here of this amazing launch we've been talking about, the launch of the Sustainability Forest Sector Action Plan. Wow, I like the way that there's already a natural way of how they're going to stand in nicely and amazingly there. And I'm going to be having the honor of doing the countdown from right here, and I want all the media people present to station yourself well so you don't say I went too fast and you missed in the action. So once you are set, I'm going to do a very quick countdown. And at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, the launch of the Sustainability Forest Sector Action Plan in 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Let's give a round of applause as well as this happens. Beautiful things happening there. That's the launch of the Sustainability Forest Sector Action Plan, courtesy of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, and all the media present there. Some copies there being handed over. I know there's a lot of maridadi happening today, so we're going to go a bit shining today because we have launched this amazing Sustainability Forest Sector Action Plan. So I'd like some nice photography. Hold nicely the reports for the photographers in the house and the media people so they can see, of course, coupled with a smile inside the masks, you know. This is the season we have now. Let your eyes smile and do everything else. Now, one without, please. One without, please. We are grateful our borders have not allowed that at the very end. So please, let's smile nicely there for the cameras. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Sustainability Forest Sector Action Plan report right there. And I'm sure you're wondering how you can get a copy for yourself if you're there virtually and watching us online. I'm sure if you contact KAM, the Secretariat will indeed be there to help you out with that. That's it. We have the report right there, and I can't wait as well to peruse through the pages and hear what it's all about. But before we proceed on, I know we're going to have a quick taste of what it's all about. And so I'm going to invite back here the CEO, Phyllis Wakiaga, the Chief Executive, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, to do a presentation of the forestry. Karibu sana.
Thanks a lot, everyone. I think I have the privilege to quickly run us through some of the findings in the report. I'll try and do it as succinctly as possible, as you said earlier, so that we get a brief, but please look out for the report. We'll have it online and everyone can get into detail. So I hope my slides are up. So we are looking at the Forestry Business Sustainability Action Plan for Kenya. My first slide is about the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. We continue to be the leading voice of manufacturing and value-add industries in Kenya since 1959, and we are committed to securing the social economic well-being of Kenyans and elevating inequality in the community. You've seen the video of the recently launched Ukamilifu arm, which is our ESG arm, and we are really trying to demonstrate the industry's wider role in complementing government initiatives towards driving development. So the presentation I'll run through has the background, which is the underpinning legislative framework, the key findings, and then the conclusion and recommendation. So in terms of the background, the forest sector is a global, regional, and national concern, and it's central to the ongoing transition to a low carbon and circular future that's rooted in renewable and natural resources. Sustainable management of the sector is also underscored within SDG 15, which is really about protecting, restoring, and promoting sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably managing our forests, combating desertification, and halting and reversing land degradation and biodiversity loss. So that's really where we are anchored. And Kenya is the home to an array of forest ecosystems, including our rainforests, our savanna, woodlands, dry forests, coastal forests, and mangroves. And the 6 forest classes identified in Kenya include the private plantation forests, the public plantation forests, open forests, open woodlands, the indigenous mangroves, and the indigenous closed canopy. So in terms of the rationale of the action plan, as I said at the beginning, the action plan was commissioned as part of an inquiry into seeking ways to enhance the sustainability of Kenya's forestry sector through a multi-stakeholder approach. And we developed the action plan based on the rationale that the interdependency of the sector and other economic sectors is fundamental for the social economic development and also for the preservation of the ecosystems. The action plan is also built on the common understanding that the forest sector can provide varying products and conservation roles, functions, and outputs. And I think it was interesting listening to Daktari here, who really gave a broad array of the opportunities within the sector. And the action plan is really supposed to guide interventions and investment of resources over the next 10 years. So the next slide is on the forest sector value chain. I think all of us have seen that this value chain is a significant contributor to the Kenyan economy. Also, it supports various sectors, including manufacturing, tourism, water, energy, and agriculture. The value chain also encompasses all the economic activities that depend on the production of goods and services from the forest, and those include production, processing, manufacturing, use, and end-of-life stages of the value chain. So I think you can see there all the way from forest production to processing, manufacture, use, and end-of-life. So in regards to the forestry sector assessment focus area, we've talked about the different parts of the value chain, but when we're looking at the sustainability of the forestry sector in Kenya, there were 3 main angles we looked at. The first one was the global and regional plans and strategies and commitments, where we paid attention to the good practices that can be tailored to the Kenyan context. We also looked at the forestry sector policy and legislative framework with an inclination on how we can improve that. And then we looked at the stakeholder perspectives and approaches towards sustainable forest management. And this was really geared at increasing collaboration and coordination. So out of that, we have some key highlights of the report. I'll start with the gaps and challenges. One of them is the unprecedented demand. There's a growing demand for wood and non-wood products, which continues to really place undue pressure on our forests. We also identified the weak market structures, which includes the inadequate access to credible wood valuation services and market information by small-scale producers, and this contributes to a distorted economic valuation of timber in the market. The other reality is the forest land encroachment, which is increasing illegal timber trade and contributing to deforestation, as well as the loss of biodiversity. The issue of corruption, I think we did hear our chief guest mention that, because that continues to cripple the forest sector, and it results in a higher cost of doing business and affects the competitiveness of products in the market. The other issue is the poor coordination amongst the actors. There is need for cooperation and collaboration and coordination towards sustainably managing our forests, and we realized that that is yet to be attained. We also took note of the low quality of imports. The quality of imports is questionable, and the prices are too low for manufacturers locally to be able to compete, which is another challenge within the market. And the last one is around the COVID-19 pandemic, which has led to fluctuations in demand of the various wood and non-wood products, thus limiting the actors' capacity to function optimally. So that's the background within which this study is being done. Then we had the policy and regulatory framework. I think the Constitution of Kenya reflects a robust legislative framework in the management of natural resources. It provides for devolution of forest management functions and highlights guidelines for equity in benefit sharing of forest resources. It also sets a 10% tree cover and underscores the need for sustainable exploitation, utilization, management, and conservation of the environment and natural resources, as well as equitable sharing of the benefits that accrue. Then we have a number of policies and legislations. I know the previous speaker spoke about them, so I won't go into detail, but some of them are listed there, like the Forest Conservation and Management Act, the Environment Management and Coordination Act, the National Forest Policy, the County Governments Act, the National Land Policy, Land Act, amongst others. In regards to the institutional framework, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry bears the key mandate of national environmental policy management, forest development policy management, and also the development of the reforestation and agroforestry, the restoration of strategic water towers, protection and conservation of the national environment, and also pollution control, protection of wetlands, and also climate change affairs. So that's their broad mandate. We also then have the Forest Conservation and Management Act that establishes the Kenya Forest Services as a government agency with the mandate of conserving, protecting, and managing public forests. The government has also made significant effort towards establishing mechanisms for instituting effective tenure reform for participation of the indigenous people. That is through the community forest associations, popularly known as the CFAs. And this issue of sustainable forest management also has other players like the research programs. We have KEFRI and others who are doing this, also both at the non-state actors like WWF, private actors, academia, and other research institutions. So in terms of the forest sustainability framework, one of them is about the economic development, population growth, and the need to access livelihoods and increase the demand for wood and wood products. So what that is doing is basically it's exerting pressure on the natural forests. We have the estimation from the National Forest Program, and that is predicted to. So with that as a background, we did look at also some of the good practices that currently exist. One of them is the Forest Cover Acceleration Program. As a country, we continue to remain committed to attaining a minimum forest cover of 10%, which will go a long way in addressing the looming deficits in demand for wood and non-wood products. We have countries like Finland, North Korea, Papua New Guinea, Congo Brazzaville, Suriname, Guyana, Norway, and Gabon, which have as much as 70% of their land under closed canopy forests. South Africa, through the National Protected Area Expansion Strategy, has more than 4,000 hectares of protected areas being created, with a further 8,000 hectares that's going to be added in the medium to long term. So I think those are some of the ambitions that we would be looking at as a country. Another good practice is the community engagement through the CFAs, because that's fundamental in restoring and expansion of forests, and I think the CFAs is a good example of what is happening. In regards to the institutional framework, the issue of research and development, I think we had earlier that is critical for the continued development of mechanisms necessary for the management of constraints that inhibit the development of the sector. And through research, there's a lot of information, technology, materials, and others that we can develop. And we have examples like Brazil, which have attained 3.5 million hectares of eucalyptus plantations meant for charcoal, pulp, fiber, energy, and construction. Then the other issue is on certification. The certification of timber and timber products provides required control mechanism for forests, which enhances the sustainable forest management. And the issue of procurement of legally certified timber is becoming an emerging trend that is greatly contributing to the sustainable use of forest resources, as well as dealing with the issue of quality control. And we saw that as examples in countries like Gabon, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, and DRC. So I'll move now to the recommendations, which is the tail end of my presentation. And some of the recommendations we are making within this report include the following. The first one is on knowledge management. And we are proposing that this should be fostered as it has the potential to increase the efficient use of forests through the creation or adoption of new products, manufacturing processes, and business models. Then the second proposal is around the forest smart development approaches. Smart development approaches are vital for the transformation of how we interlink sectors and how we operate by identifying opportunities for mutual benefit and also creating practical solutions that can be implemented at scale. Then the next one is on forest cover. I know our constitution provides for 10% of tree cover, and the chairman of KFS was informing me that there's currently some work ongoing, which probably in the next 2 weeks we'll get the latest statistics in terms of our tree and forest cover. So as government continues to pursue the expansion of forest cover to the 10%, it's vital to acknowledge that the state cannot realize and even surpass the ambition single-handedly. And for that reason, as the business community, as private sector, and as forest-reliant communities, we also have a fundamental role to play. And I know as CAM, there's some work we are doing that we will be making announcements on later in regard to this. Then the other recommendation is on innovation for sustainable use of forest resources. And this is in a bid to increase the efficiency of the production and management systems and also enhance the productivity of existing plantation forests. We also had a recommendation on standardization of timber and other wood products. And what this will do, it will enable trade in increasing competitive markets. And it will basically ensure that the business sector value chain is in a position to offer products and services and put in place processes that are cost-effective, time-efficient, commercially viable, credible, and safe. Then the next one is on coordination and inclusivity, which is basically about bringing together various stakeholders across the value chain, both at policy and program level, to be able to implement the different findings within this report. And our last recommendation is on lifting of the ban on logging. And the drive towards lifting of the ban on logging by government should be informed mainly by the need for sustainable use of the forest resources. And they should really be a deliberate move towards ensuring that the products extracted from the forest resources, where it is demonstrable that the resources are managed sustainably. So if we're able to demonstrate that, I think the ban on logging should really be reconsidered. And I'm also happy, I know the chairman of KFS has left, but he did speak about the fact that they are currently in the process of doing this. They've been able to register the sawmillers and deal with some of the challenges that were identified when the report around the moratorium was released. So those are the recommendations that we've made, but we have the full detailed report, which I encourage all of us to look through. And as we work together on implementing these recommendations, we just want to renew and affirm our commitment as the Association of Manufacturers to work together with the government on the sustainability of our natural resources, where forestry is one of the most critical. So thank you very much for attending. Thank you for listening to us, and we look forward to your partnership and feedback on this report. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana, Phyllis Wakiaga, the CEO, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, for those remarks and comments. Now, as she has rightfully put it, we have come to the close of the session. But before then, it's always important sometimes to just check through. There's a lot of tweets that came through in terms of feedback, people talking about what is going on and the likes, making amazing comments as well. Some were also following. Thank you so much for participating, to all our online viewers, on the hashtag Sustaining Our Forests. And this conversation goes on, by the way, because it doesn't end there. Right here in-house as well, I had selected 1 or 2 tables as well to just get a comment about the day and about this amazing day that we have. Let me start from this table. Just say hello to us, maybe just say your name and, you know, what's your general comments of the day?
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Ane Shah, and I'm representing Mount Kenya Sawmills from Nanyuki. What I can say is that we need to stop outsourcing our deforestation, especially to Congo.
Yeah.
And by doing that, we can start using veneers, especially to make solid doors and frames. We can't use solid mahogany anymore.
Yeah.
We need to learn how to use a softwood base and put a thin veneer on top to reduce deforestation.
Okay.
Dryland forestry is also a huge issue, and growing things such as sandalwood and other gum arabicas would be very wise. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Somebody who is already representing what's happening on the ground. I had another table here, and I have a gentleman here as well. I just want to request you to introduce yourself and just give you a general comment on the day. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Charles Karega. I work with Artemis Transition Partners. Artemis Transition Partners is a consulting company that works with small, medium-sized, and medium-sized enterprises. I was a guest to this event. I just want to congratulate KAM for the launch of the sustainability report, and it's a big step, and I just wish all forestry stakeholders all the best. It gives great opportunities, and most importantly, is a big step towards sustainability, which is, as has been repeated, a big concern for business, for the environment, for the national economy, and for all else that relates to what we're discussing here today, forests and businesses. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that comment. Just getting a few more. I don't know whether there's somebody else have left behind. They may have wanted to give a comment before I close the session officially. But there's a gentleman on this other end. I just wanted to hear from you. What's your general comment on the day and what has gone down? Just introduce yourself, say hello, and then go ahead.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is John Joroge from Biashara Masters Sawmill. We are manufacturers of MDF boards, chipboard, plywood, and wooden poles. My general comment is the day has been good. We are looking forward towards the lifting of the ban because we are really relying on imports, which probably is a bit expensive. And we have matured trees which are rotting in the forest. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's always important to hear from the representatives on the ground, if I may call it that, so that at least they can help us understand. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have a better, is it a better one? But it's a good announcement as well. But before then, I think there's a comment there, right? Was that a comment? Was that a hand? Great. Please pass the mic. Hey, there's a microphone here. If you could kindly pass that microphone very fast as well. We just hear that comment as well from one of the participants right here in this particular launch. Please go ahead, introduce yourself and go ahead.
Okay, journalist, I do cover stories on climate change.
Great.
First of all, I just want to appreciate today's session because it has really touched my ambitions to do more on climate change. And initiative that CAM has just taken after the COP26, which was happening at Glasgow, UK, and a lot of things happened global, and all the global, it was like climate change is the most crisis that everybody's supposed to work on it and see how we can eradicate it. Now, coming to today's event, the impact of forestry, you find that there's a lot in that department that happens, but there's no sustainability. So I'm really happy that you really emphasize it's not about just planting trees, but sustaining them to a green pasture, to sustaining them to change our climate and to change our environment. So I really just want to appreciate today that we may put our impacts together so that we can attain the 10% target that the UN has given us to work on that initiative. Thank you so much. Yes.
You're welcome, Asante Sana. Now, of course, I have a final comment, I guess, from online community. Alfred, I see your hand up. What's your quick comment? Make it a minute or less. Go ahead. Has Alfred disappeared? Or it's the screen that has disappeared? Is Alfred there? Okay. Alfred, we can't hear you. I don't know whether you can just speak out so we can hear you. So Alfred, I want to hear your comment and then I can close. Go ahead. Alfred, are you there? You put up your hand, so I just wanted to hear whether you had that comment representing the online community, and then we can close. All right. Alfred, I think you will type it in, then we can read it out later on. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the close of the session. That was the launch of the Sustainability Forest Sector Action Plan, and I want to appreciate your time to all our online community as well. The tweets and the tweeps, thank you so much for really pushing that hashtag sustaining our forest. I want to appreciate all our guests as well for coming and really to say that this conversation goes on because sustainability is the way to go, thinking about our own present and future. All right, taking care of it, I want to close there for the online community. Asanteni sana. For the members present in the house, I think I got some. Alfred, you there? Alfred, you there? If you're there, then you can go ahead, just say your comment.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, that's why I'm nodding.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
I wanted to request that you share with us a copy of that document at the earliest opportunity because we want to see what we can immediately take on board to inform the strategy that we are concluding on the Red Plus strategy for Kenya, which is a document that informs how this country will address the problem of deforestation and forest degradation and incentivize actions that support sustainable forest management and enhance afforestation and reforestation programs. So if you can have that document at the earliest opportunity, I think the ministry would be extremely delighted. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That is Alfred Gichu, the Director of Forestry at the Ministry of Environment, and thank you so much for that comment. And I'm sure, I can even see the Secretariat here was nodding that you're going to have it ASAP because it's available. Thank you so much. Because for us here, we already have hard copies of it. So asante sana for that. So as I was closing, I was saying thank you so much once again to all our online community. Thank you so much for really being there. The Facebookers, the YouTubers as well, and the trips who ensured we were trending. Thank you so much for that opportunity. Asanteni sana and bye-bye for now. For the ones in the house, I have some good news because I have some lunch for you. Well, it's not me, but it's courtesy of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. So I can see it's still 11:20, and so I would not want to rush Kempinski. So if you could kindly just network a little bit here and there and wait for the signal from the Secretariat when you can go ahead and